Hey guys, if you're looking to put in zoysia grass for your home lawn and you're in the Austin, Texas area, the Central Texas area, keep watching because I'm going to go over what the benefits are and what some cons could be for having this in your lawn. So really we're only going to talk about one turf type of the zoysia, and that's going to be the Palisade zoysia. That's the only one I recommend for a home lawn. The reason why I do not like the fine leaf bladed zoysia is, and you've got a couple where there's Toro, there's Zorro, there's a few other, Emerald, and the reason why I don't like these for a home lawn is they have a short root system. It's a vine root system. They do require more water, I guess, more often. They're not going to be able to tolerate our once a week watering with our terrible soil very well, and they do like a lot shorter mowing height. So some of these varieties work great on golf courses. For a home lawn, they do not work very well. You're going to be fighting the hot spots in the summer. You're going to be struggling to mow it short enough to where it looks good, it feels good, it gets real spongy under your feet when you mow it at 2.5 inches. So we're not even going to talk about the others. We're only going to talk about Palisade zoysia. So the first thing to determine is, are you doing this because of a shade issue? I see this a lot. If you have Bermuda or even St. Augustine and you're struggling to grow it in the shade, you will hear people say, zoysia works great in the shade. It will tolerate shade better than Bermuda. It still doesn't like it. It will tolerate 6 hours, sometimes a little bit less on broken sunlight, depending on if it's getting morning shade or not. It doesn't like it. So if you're picking it because of a shade issue, I would really look to see how much shade you have. Because if it is a really heavy shade, if you're out there at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon and it is just completely dark under the tree because you're not getting any sun through, you will struggle with zoysia there as well. And when you first put the sod down, it may be okay for a year or two, but then it'll start thinning out just because it cannot produce enough photosynthesis to keep it alive. So the fertilization requirements are a little bit different than if you have Bermuda. You can actually get away with less of the nitrogen. It doesn't require as much. This is one of the reasons why I actually personally love zoysia over any of the other turf types. I think it's a great lawn to have. It's not as nutrient heavy, I guess I would say, than some of the others. It is a little bit slower growing grass type than if you're used to Bermuda, so you need to be patient when you get the sod down. You give it time to establish. That first season you may be like, this doesn't really do a whole lot of good. It's not growing very well. It's not doing what I thought it would. Give it a year, and then once it really gets established, it's a fantastic turf type to have. Now on the mowing height, I like to keep mine at 2 inches. But anywhere between that 1.5 to 2.5 inches is kind of the sweet spot. You do not want to go to 3 or 3.5 inches like you would with St. Augustine. It's not going to like it as well. That 2-inch mark is really where it thrives and really looks good. Holds a great color when you mow it. Make sure to mow it weekly. Zoysia is a lawn that you want to mow weekly. It has enough top growth to where you can easily scalp it, and it may not look good, may damage it, and cause some diseases. On the disease side, it is more susceptible to diseases like in the springtime or if it's in the summer, we're real wet and humid. Do have to watch that a little bit more closely than if you're used to Bermuda. So we want to keep our eyes for any brown patch diseases, mainly what we're looking for. Easy to control normally, whether it's solving the drainage issue or overwatering issue or just having to get some air or actually a fungicide down. So one of the things with zoysia is that you'll notice in the wintertime, it's great, it's dormant, and as we come out of spring, you're going to see probably your Bermuda and St. Augustine green up faster. Zoysia is going to come out later, sometimes as late as May before it really gets going, depending on how warm or cold our spring is. Once it gets going, that June time, it's just thriving. It loves to get into that heat, full sun, and it just goes crazy. It'll choke out weeds. It'll choke out other turf types. It's a really good one to have for controlling other pests in the lawn. Now it is on the expensive side. It's not the cheaper sod type, and also on sod, you only want to sod this variety. Palisade only comes in sod. If you see anything seed wise, don't plant it. You don't want it. And the most of our Zoysia varieties, they are all done by sod or sprigs because the seeds are not viable. So any of our good turf types are always going to be sod. That goes for Bermuda and Zoysia and St. Augustine. St. Augustine, there isn't even a seed anyways. But sod is the way to go. Make sure you have a good soil base. You know, you want, if you're going to be tearing up your yard, get at least 6 inches of good soil down, and then that Zoysia is really going to thrive. Do not just have a company come and scrape down your Bermuda or weed eat down your Bermuda down to the dirt and then throw Zoysia on top of it. You actually want to get that cut out and get everything done correctly. Build the foundation, and everything else on top of that will thrive. Like I said, personally, this is my favorite. This is what I would put if anybody asked me. Put Zoysia in. If you do have heavy shade, probably want to look at something else. I never recommend trying to grow grass in heavy shade. But for all your other areas in the sun, for everything, it is a great turf variety to have. Water requirements are not going to be as, it's not going to need as much as our Bermuda, and it will go dormant in the summer if it doesn't get enough, but it will survive. It does a great job of surviving. It'll shut down and kind of keep all the nutrients that it needs in the core of the plant and hold on until fall arrives or some rain does, and it can kind of perk back up. But it's great at surviving a lot of stress, and it is slow to recover, but it will survive. And the other thing is, with heavy traffic, if you have a lot of pets or dogs running a certain area, or you have a lot of kids playing, it is not going to be as traffic tolerant as something like Bermuda. It will take some damage that way. It'll be slower to recover. So something to keep in mind if you're doing it on in an area where a lot of kids are playing underneath a playscape or something like that. It won't tolerate that very well, but it will do a good job if it's just minor here and there, and not something that's on the same path every single day, just kind of beating it down. You can get into cultural practices like aerification or something like that, and top dressing, to really help those areas recover and avoid more damage. You can get into that if you know, that's a whole nother topic. And then if you're picking your sod, just make sure you're going to an actual certified sod farm. If you're in the Austin area, there's King Ranch, and then there's Thomas Turfgrass. Those are the two I always recommend. Thomas Turfgrass does a great job. I used them when I was in the golf industry. I used them when we did sod for Century, and they have a good quality product. We know that they're certified in these varieties, so it's going to be a pure stand of turf and not somebody trying to grow their own sod farm, and you might get mutations or who knows what in there. Go to an actual reputable sod farm, or if you're hiring a company, make sure they're getting it from one of these certified sod growers. If y'all have any questions, please let us know, and we'll get you all taken care of. Thanks a lot.